Experience was founded after my oldest son, Michael, was diagnosed with testicular cancer in 2007. I wanted to offer up hope to other cancer survivors so people know they're not alone, so that they know they can get out and start living again. It just may look different than how it did before they had cancer.
Epic Experience is unique in the fact that we really pride ourselves on trying to take anyone and everyone that we can. It doesn't matter when you were diagnosed. If you've been diagnosed 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out, we don't put a timeline on it. We say that, you know what, if you've had cancer come into your life, we have a place for you.
Epic Experience. One word, it's epic. You have a chance to come up here and do some things that you've never probably done before.
This camp is telling me, like, why are you afraid? Like, what's stopping you? I got out on the water in the pond here, and I'm like, I haven't done a headstand in a long time. And it's really difficult to do it on water. And I'm like, what am I afraid of?
At camp, it's about healing your soul and your spirit and living beyond that cancer diagnosis, having fun, being with people that understand, and really just embracing everything that life has to offer you.
They just said you were going to go to a camp, and I didn't even know where it was going to be. I got hauled up the mountain and got to play in the snow, and the thing that happened is I rediscovered joy, found myself again. Favorite memories from camp? Running down the hill in snowshoes. It's something I never really considered before.
I got on a sled today, and I'm going to be honest. I mean, I've beat cancer, but I was still nervous to get on a sled.
Well, kayaking is individual. You're all alone in your boat, and it's you versus the elements and how strong you are and getting through the challenges that are coming up, whether they're rapids or something in the water in the way. And with cancer, it's you versus your diagnosis.
Epic Experience is about empowering adult cancer survivors and thrivers beyond their cancer diagnosis. It's about giving them a community in which they feel that they have people they can connect with, that understand them, and walk their shoes to really know, hey, you know what, I'm not alone, and I have people with me, and it's so important for them to feel that connection.
Things that I used to worry about don't worry me as much anymore. Family is critically important. Friends and experiences is what life is about.
Well, I didn't think I needed this week, but I needed it more than I knew. I needed to just play in the snow. I needed to laugh until my sides hurt. I needed to connect with people, even though I didn't think I did. I needed to find out that I'm not alone in things I think I'm alone in.
So here at the 7W Ranch, not only are the activities that we do for the week amazing, but just the beautiful scenery around alone makes it just so incredible.
I was feeling a bit lost and unsure how to cope with life after cancer. I feel like Epic Experience brought me closer to who I used to be and who I want to be in the future.
Want me to cry when I talk about 7W? It's magic. Just say, it's special.
If you are debating on coming on this trip, just do it. Don't hesitate. I hesitated. I waited till the last minute, and I am so grateful that I came here.
This has been life-changing. This week has absolutely changed my life in ways that I couldn't have even imagined that it would.
Epic Experience is the right name for this experience. Trust, go for it.
Why can't you experience this? It's something that they've already been through, cancer treatments, whatever the therapy is, and this is another way to heal.
If you want to really check back in with yourself and find out where your inner person is and where your soul survives, come to a camp and just let it be.
Don't think about it. Don't wonder, should I? Just do it. Sign up for camp, and it'll be an amazing experience full of a lifetime of memories.
Hi there, everyone. Welcome. This is episode 9 of the Beyond Cancer series put on by Epic Experience. Tonight, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to actually be interviewing an author who's written a book called Voices of Cancer, and she's going to be joining us shortly. First, let me just tell you a little bit about Epic Experience in case it's new to you. But Epic Experience was started in 2012 by Nancy Farrow after her oldest son was diagnosed with testicular cancer and had a really hard time kind of getting life on track again. He was struggled with depression and some other things, and he attended a camp experience that really changed his life. And Nancy thought, well, why not do this for all ages, for adults, any survivor? And that's how Epic Experience was born. So since then, we've had nearly 500 people at our week-long camps that take place in the Colorado Rockies, both in the summer and in the winter. And I have attended, and it's amazing. This series was started in 2019 as a way to reach out to people who are still on the waiting list, because we have a very long waiting list. And so we started some additional programs, regional events, and things like this Beyond Cancer series. The alumni team is the one that officially puts this together, and the alumni team, as you can guess, is made up of Epic Experience alumni. All of us, there's 9 of us right now, all of us have attended an Epic Experience camp. Some of us winter, some of us summer. We're all different ages, all different kinds of cancer, all different parts of the country. But our one common experience is that we attended an Epic Experience camp and had it change our lives. So as a result, we want to give back. And that's the whole point of the alumni team, is to keep that sense of community going long after that week at camp. So we sponsor this Beyond Cancer series. We have a Facebook group. We try and engage people in conversations and things online. And it's just a way to kind of keep that big family, that big Epic family together. So tonight, this is episode 9, and we're going to be interviewing Lynda, aka Yard Sale, who is still joining us. And if I should probably introduce myself. I am Gail, aka Sunshine. I attended camp back in 2016, so it's been just over 4 years. And I did not think I needed it, but I needed it in so many ways. And because my life has been changed, I'm now doing the alumni team. I'm the interviewer, I suppose, and I do some editing for Epic as well. So we are still hopefully getting Lynda here.
I'm going to say hello.
All right, awesome.
So hello, everyone. My name is Colin Farrow, aka Wingman. Hello to everybody out there. So we're having some technical difficulties, so we apologize for that. We're trying to get Lynda on, having some connection problems on her feed. So when we get that going, we will have her on here hopefully shortly. But I have a question for you, Sunshine.
Awesome.
First, who won the World Series in 2014?
Oh my gosh, here we go.
People just want to know the answer.
I have chemo brain, so I don't remember. Was it a team in blue?
Well, no, they lose World Series. It was a team in black and orange, called the San Francisco Giants. But anyway, so while we're waiting for Lynda, obviously, Sunshine, you are a writer and editor, and just curious from your perspective what this book, the flow of it, the read, more of just the structure of the book, not so much the content. How that fit with you, and as far as your experience during it.
Okay. The way that she wrote the book is it's kind of divided by topic, I guess, but there's a section that deals with the patient. There's a section that deals with the caregiver or the family members, the non-patient, I guess. It deals with the different stages of your experience during treatment, before treatment, after treatment, your new normal. And then within each of those, Lynda gives her experience, but then also includes voices of cancer, all these different, even the cover kind of gives you an idea. These are several alumni from Epic, but there are even more than that who are included. So it's not just her experience, but she includes all of these others. So it gives you a wide range. And one of the, well, I don't want to give away what she was going to say, but something that she found was very interesting, just in terms of no matter who the people were, how similar their experiences were in different ways. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm always curious from your perspective, only because it's what you do every day.
That's true.
So, yeah. I will say, for myself, I've never been a big reader. I will not lie. Give me an article and I read that. And this was a book that, maybe it's because I knew a lot of the folks involved in the stories, but it was one that I just breezed through as far as, just reading it, engaging, and really just the biggest thing to me is I felt like there was such a connection in the words that were shared. And so that was what was powerful. It's like, I'm a caregiver. I'm not a cancer survivor, but that caregiver perspective really relates the same in this book. And so whether you're a caregiver, an advocate, or a survivor, I think it's able to speak to everyone.
It does. And she's going to be reading passages that kind of touch on that. But I think it's enlightening no matter who you are. If you're a caregiver or a family member, it will probably, and you haven't talked to anybody about some of the things, I think you'll find it enlightening to hear a different perspective that maybe the survivor you were with was kind of afraid to share. Whereas I think so it's a different, and you said relatable. That's one of the words that comes to mind, is it is so easy to read and feel like you're connecting with those who you're reading about. I mean, because there's so many voices and so many quotes throughout, it is engaging, I guess is the best word.
For sure.
So
yeah, it's just amazing to see kind of how it came together. So awesome. And let's see, we have Sabine has a question. She wants to know if we can talk about the cover.
I can. Okay, I don't know if you can you see those? So these are 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 24. I'm an English person. These are portraits painted by, this is Chris, and he had people send him selfies, and then he painted these portraits. So these are all survivors, all alumni from Epic Experience. And here, I don't want to.
And just so, just because anyone that knows Sunshine and Maya's relationship, it is always ribbing on each other. I'm going to help you with your counting. There's 5 across each row, so that counts to 20. But I'm here for you, and we're going to get through this together.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, seriously. This is why I work with words and not numbers. Are there
exactly?
Really? Oh, there are. Look at that. Anyway, that's what those are. And there is a big version of this hanging in the Epic Experience office that is so cool.
That's
but we just want to shout out to Chris. I mean, very talented. So that's where the portraits came from.
So it looks like we can get yard sale on here, possibly by video or audio at least. So let's see if we can try that. So bear with us, folks. We're trying to fix some technology stuff. So give me 1 second.
Here, I can show you what she looks like.
Yeah, there we go. Lynda, can you hear us?
There she is. That's yard sale.
Hello, yard sale. Testing. All right, so we're gonna try that again here shortly. We appreciate you guys' patience, and tell me what else you want me to make poke fun at Sunshine about, and I'll do that. So we're open to suggestions and comments on what weird quarantine challenges we can do for her or things like that. I don't know. Throw something out there, but really the book again is something that we're honored in, and something that again we know Lynda will share more of, but we're so honored to have her. One, she's a past alumni, but she has been so giving that if this book begins to make proceeds and profits, that donations will come back to Epic Experience because it's part of the journey, and which is just another great gift, and she'll share more about that and why she's so inspired to do so. But it's just something that is amazing to have people do that for us. I'll give some updates to those of you that are here, just as a Epic Experience program director, why we're trying to figure this out. There's a possibility we might shut this down and come back. So bear with us and stay tuned. We might just have to try this again. But in the meantime, we hope you join us on our events page. We have a lot of different programs going on. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have a low-impact training class that's 30 minutes. It is awesome. I've done it, and it's great. They adapt to different abilities. So if you want to go fast and go big, great. If you want to go ahead and go at a more adaptable pace, you can do that too. They show you three different ways for each exercise of how to do it your way, which is great.
Cool.
So that's awesome. We also have yoga as well. So check out our events page. Those are all there. And it looks like we might have gotten this. So give us 1 second. Yard sale, you there?
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I'm doing this on my phone now.
Hey, we're here.
I'm sorry.
We got it.
You know what? You guys rock. You guys did excellent. I just have to say.
We can talk a lot of gibberish. That's what Sunshine and I are good at because we're used to figuring out each other.
Gosh. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being patient.
I'm going to say goodbye, and I look forward to what you guys have to say. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Wingman. Hey, Sunshine.
Thank you for coming, yard sale.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I've shown them. I showed them your cover. I showed them you, but now they can actually see you in person.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. Yes, our friend Chris Taylor did that cover. What a guy.
Exactly. Wow. All right. Well, so this is episode 9. If you're just joining us, we're doing episode 9 of the Beyond Cancer series. Today, we're doing something a little different. I am going to interview Lynda, but we're also going to have her read a few portions of her book and talk about some of the things that are in here. And so we're just going to dive in. All right. You ready?
Awesome.
Okay. First, what prompted you to write this book? What made you decide to do it?
You know, I say that I didn't really want to write the book, and that really is true. This was not at all what I anticipated I would ever do. But what happened was I'm having a lot of feedback. Can I ask you to hold just a second?
If you get headphones.
Sorry.
No problem.
Back for your entertainment is Wingman. So now I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to show you. This is Woody from Toy Story.
I was going to comment on yoga because you didn't really go into yoga.
There you go. Keep commenting. This is all about
yoga is awesome. That was one of my things that I wanted to do for the 2020, and so I've been going to the class on Tuesday, and there's also one on Friday and Sunday, led by Bugaboo, another Epic alumni, and it has been great. So that's another program that started with this whole COVID thing, and it's been a really cool experience.
And now I lost audio. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Are you there?
Oh, you guys.
I can hear you. All right, I'm back. The other program that we have going on.
Here we go. One more time. Sorry, you guys are awesome for bearing with us. Let me try.
The other program we have going on is on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock.
I am just going to pass out.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep talking then. So Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, we're having kind of a roving walk about the neighborhood. Whatever neighborhood you happen to be in, you take a walk. So it's being alone together. That's how we're talking about it. So we've had people from Utah, somebody from Northern California, and then people from New York, excuse me, I'm having a chemo brain moment today. People from Denver, Aurora, Nevada area leading the walk, and it's done on Facebook Live, so you can walk where you are, you can comment, you can kind of be part of the whole event. So that's another thing that's been going on. I will share something else that's going on. August 8th, assuming that life is back to quote unquote normal, August 8th is going to be Raftoberfest, which is a huge fun event in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. If you happen to be in Colorado and you want to make a trip, August 8th. And let's see, what else? Yard sale.
I'm back.
She's back. Good, because I ran out of updates.
You ran out of, well,
I ran
let
out
me
of
help
updates.
you.
So here you
Let me
are.
help you.
All right. Are you ready?
I am so ready.
Let's do this. So,
All right.
back to my original question. Voices of Cancer. What prompted you to write this book?
Okay, so what really happened was I actually started calling everybody after I got sick. And my husband was like, you cannot just keep calling everybody. Can you please just put it into an email or, a blog or something? So I did. I started a blog, and I had an incredible following. It was actually a little bit overwhelming at the number of people and the positivity that was coming from complete strangers. Friends of friends would pass it to somebody or this kind of thing.
Right.
And then what happened actually was I stole a magazine from my doctor's office. Yes, that's true. I really did. So I steal a magazine from my doctor, and I find this place called Epic Experience. And before I was diagnosed with cancer, I was a ballroom dancer. I was a horseback rider. I loved to raft the rivers in Idaho. I mean, I was the total outdoor, active person.
Right.
After cancer, I could hardly get up to take a shower. It was like climbing Mount Everest. So I see this article about Epic Experience, and I think, okay, I'm going to go. So I go to Epic Experience. It's this incredible camp.
Yeah.
And I have such bad chemo brain. I can't remember what we had for breakfast, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So I carry around this little notebook, and I'm writing everything down, and and people are saying, oh, remember when so-and-so? And I'm like, no, wait, let me check. This is what they really said. And, somewhere along the line, somebody said, what, are you going to write a book? And I'm like, well, maybe. And
interesting.
In our table conversation at dinner, we all sit at this big, long table for dinner. We just started having these really in-depth conversations. And so I started asking the really tough questions. And what I learned was it did not matter who you were, what race you were, what religion, creed, age, economic status, male, female, nothing mattered. Every one of us cancer patients had the exact same issues. And it just struck me that we needed a voice. And so Voices of Cancer was born.
That's awesome. Well, why don't you read a section to kind of start us off?
Perfect.
From Voices from Cancer, and then we'll continue with some more questions.
Perfect. So I think the one I would like to read is about clarity and perspective. A lot of people don't understand how cancer really shifts.
Yeah.
Once you're the patient and you've been diagnosed. When I was first diagnosed, I was told my cancer was very rare. And in my case, it was even more rare because I was a young female. I was also told it was extremely aggressive with no survivors. I was accepted as a patient by a specialist 1,800 miles away from where I lived. I started a trial drug in the hopes of doubling my life expectancy. The drug worked to the extent that it made my cancer dormant, but it wreaked havoc on my joints. The pain was excruciating for 8 months. Please note, I have been through natural childbirth. I know pain. The pain of my trial brought clarity to me in ways that I never want to lose. It allowed me to know what is important in life and to appreciate the tiniest of things. I would sit often for hours without being able to move, just looking out the window. I was unable to watch TV, too difficult on my eyes. Listen to music, too painful to my head. Browse on my iPad, too strenuous to my fingers and wrists. Or speak, too distracting from the focus it took to manage the pain. Through my pain and my inability to move, my world became small, confined to what I could see through a picture window from where I sat. When your world is small, devoid of extraneous noise and thought, life becomes clear, focused, and you can see it with a new perspective. You see the value of things beyond yourself. and you are forced to slow down, sometimes being nothing but still. Your eyes begin to open to the ins and outs of everyday life that you once rushed past so as not to be too late. There is much peace and personal growth in times of suffering. As the days passed and my pain continued, I stayed in the same spot on my couch for months. But every day, I felt more of a connection with life as I stared out the window. I often felt I had little more in my world to think about than the squirrels I could see scurrying around. I learned there is beauty in everything, and that peace is most prevalent when we are quiet and still. And I had learned most of this when I was at Epic Experience, the camp in Colorado for cancer survivors that I attended. They reminded me that my pain-filled days were where I found my peace, my understanding of life, and my perspective.
Awesome. Now, before you came on, we were kind of just talking about the book a little bit. And one of the things I pointed out is there's, a bunch of different topics. There are different sections to the patient, to the caregiver or non-patient. How did you narrow down what to include? There are so many potential topics that one could discuss related to cancer and survival and treatment and post-cancer and caregiving and all of that. So how did you narrow it down?
I actually, with a lot of help from others, I narrowed it down based on sameness. I tried to find things that were same across the board. One thing that I think most people think about when they look at me as a cancer patient, I'm a female, so I must have breast cancer.
Yeah.
No, I don't. And I know you don't either, Sunshine.
Right.
So, and that's tough. So what does that mean? That means that I needed to find sameness regardless of what the norm, quote unquote, is in society. And so I took the topics that we all had in common, regardless of our gender, regardless of our actual cancer diagnosis. I wanted to be able to speak to someone with melanoma as well as someone with brain cancer. I wanted them to understand that no matter what, it didn't, that our diagnosis was the same. And that's how I found my topics. And, I wanted to talk about people and their faith. I wanted to talk about things that annoyed them and things that made them happy. And, and that doesn't matter if you have blood cancer like I do or ovarian cancer. None of that matters.
Right. Exactly. And so in talking to these people, you started capturing their voices. How did you go about capturing them?
I could talk all day long. I have no problems talking to people. When I first was diagnosed and I actually traveled 1,800 miles one way just to go for treatment for the first 8 months. And I had never, other than having babies, I'd really never been to a doctor. I have, an orthopedic problem in children. That's it.
Right.
So when I would go to that clinic and they would put on my wristband, it was like instantly I had a connection. Everybody with that wristband,
right?
We were brother and sister,
right?
And I didn't ever have to have met you before. And the very first person I spoke with was a younger person who actually had melanoma, and he was walking around with his tree, filled with chemo and what have you. And he was in the cafeteria. And I just said, I need to go talk to him. My husband's like, are you kidding? You don't know him. I'm like, I don't care. He's got a wristband, dude. And we can communicate. And that is exactly what happened. I literally just started talking to people with wristbands. And that's what happened. Dozens and dozens and dozens of people later, the book happened.
Now, in talking to all these people attached to the wristbands, what is some of the funniest things people told you? Because I think, it's easy to focus on the negative parts of cancer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what are some of the funniest, most amusing, entertaining things that people told you?
So I mean, one thing that my son and I do is, and we always think this is funny, is before I was diagnosed, he would send me texts and say, "Are you dead?" And I would send him back saying, "No."
Wait, this was before you were
This was before. So now the texts go like this: "Are you dead?" And I say, "Not yet." And we just think we're hilarious, right?
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's terrible.
No,
It's
I
a
love
call.
it. I love it.
But so one lady that I spoke with, we call her Splash. She's an alum of Epic
Yep.
Experience. She apparently had this thing about singing after surgery. She had a mastectomy. She's in the recovery room, and the nurses tell her afterwards, because she doesn't remember, that she wakes up singing "Ding dong, the cancer's gone." An ode to the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I love it.
But my very, very, very best one, and I mean, I could read it or I can just tell you, whichever you prefer.
Go ahead and tell me.
We called her Doc. She has since left us, but she had breast cancer and she wanted to go swimming. So she chose not to have reconstructive surgery. So she went and got a swimming suit that had pockets in it, because apparently that's what you do. And you put in what's called foobs. And I'm like, "Doc, what's a foob?" And she said, "It's a fake boob." Okay, so she put her foobs into her pockets and she's swimming around. She's on her back and she's having a lovely day. And she says, I get back up from floating on my back, and she said the whole pool is just smiling at me. And she says, "I'm not understanding what had happened until I looked down, and my foobs had crept up through the pockets and up out the V-neck and were floating around on the pool without her."
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah.
I mean, you got to go through it, so you might as well laugh at it, right?
Exactly. I mean,
you must have heard the best stories.
I did. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Well, and along the way, I'm sure there were some hard, sobering, distressing, disturbing, however you want to put it, stories. Do you want to I know you have a story related to that. I don't know if you want to share another one or if you just want to read that part of it.
I do. I have a distressing story, and I heard many distressing stories.
Yeah.
I come from a very solid friendship family base.
Yeah.
Everybody is there for me and I am there for them. And that's just the way it is. I mean, truly, I've not met a stranger. And if you're in my circle, you're in, and that's just it. What do you need? And then I got sick. And the biggest thing that hurt me was when people abandoned me. And I had family members that abandoned me. My mother actually could not handle my cancer. My mom lived 1 mile from me and went to one doctor's appointment and cried the entire time and didn't come back. So that was extremely tough. And she wouldn't come visit even when I was home. So that was very, very tough. It nearly broke me. It was one of the things I had to learn to come to terms with when I was at Epic Experience. And that was that I was not alone. And that broke my heart and also made me feel like somebody else was in my life raft with me.
Right.
But when my friends abandoned me, I actually wrote a letter to my friends and I posted it. So if you're one of my friends, watch out, because if you behave poorly, I am going to write about you. So I wrote a letter and I called it A Letter from the Dying Girl. And here's what it says. If you are reading this, it is because you have been following along with my journey. It also means that we are friends, that somewhere along the way, we have shared a part of each other's lives, a laugh, a story, a connection. Whether we have known each other for decades or have just met, we have a bond. We are in a relationship. As we all know, relationships are not always easy, and this is one of those times. I will be starting the toughest part of my treatment, my inpatient chemotherapy. I know you are scared. I am too. And I know you don't always know what to say to me. I understand that as well. No one knows better than I the fear, the pain, the sickness, the diagnosis, and the prognosis. Am I dying? Yes. Today? No. I have a terminal illness, and there is no cure at this time. Yes, I believe in miracles, but I am not holding out for one. This makes me sad, just like I am sure it does you. But in an odd way, I feel blessed by this knowledge because I feel it has given me a deeper understanding of what a relationship is and what is important in life. A relationship does not mean that you only get the good. You also get the bumps, the long spans of time without communicating, and the words that hurt and leave scars. It also means being brave and courageous when the other person can't. A relationship means stepping out of your comfort zone to say the words that are frightening, to have the conversations that you would rather avoid. Right now, I need you, and I need you to understand that I cannot give you anything back at this time. Now is the time when you will have to be the giver in our relationship, as I need your friendship and energy, your words, and your prayers. I will do my best to be available for you, but right now, I can't make any promises. Please don't be afraid to bother me. I want to be bothered with your phone calls, texts, or visits. It doesn't have to be much, just a quick touch to say, I am here for you. And just like the old days, you can talk to me about anything. Trust me, I would rather hear about you, your work, your life, your kids, and your puppy's antics than I would about my sickness. I hear about that all day, every day. I understand you will have questions, and it's okay to ask. I would rather you be honest and forthright than sidestep the obvious. The only elephant in the room will be the one on your leash. You can leave him at the door. I would rather see your face and the pain and the fear in your eyes than to have you feel too unsure and awkward to see me. I am still the same me, the same girl you connected with and formed a relationship with. I am just sick now. So what do you say to the dying girl? Anything you want.
I love it.
You know, after I wrote that and published it, I had 34 guests in 1 week in my hospital room. No, I'm sorry, 39. I think it was 39. It was just one under 40. Yeah, 39. Oh my gosh. Be careful of what you ask for.
It's true. Wait, yeah, and I can totally relate. You want to talk about anything but.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
How great the Dodgers are, for example.
Anything. You know, but I'm going to give a caveat pass to those on the outside of the diagnosis. Most of the time, they don't know what we need, and they don't know what we need to hear.
Right.
And nobody has told them.
Yeah.
And I was the worst at it. My cousin had cancer, and she treated for a year, and I did the old hey to her sisters, let me know if she needs anything, you know.
Right.
And I thought for sure that was going to cover it, you know. I mean, I did my obligation, right? I mean,
right.
I checked in, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
And come to find out, her bathroom had not been cleaned in an entire year because she was too embarrassed to ask.
Yeah.
And we're all raised to not ask for help, right?
Yeah.
We're givers, not takers,
right.
because being a taker is rude. And B, she, you know, she didn't know how to ask somebody, so fall back to A. I mean, it's just her
Right.
bathroom is diarrhea and vomiting, and, you know, she's embarrassed.
Right.
An entire year.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you know,
Yeah.
I give her so much grace because when I got sick, she reached out and she actually was available to me, and she forgave me because what she said to me, she said, sweetie, you didn't know.
Yeah.
And she's right. And she is the very beginning of this book because I thought I knew what to do. And I thought I was a good friend and a good supportive person, and I sucked. So give yourself a pass
Well, and
if you were on the other side.
And let me ask you this, because you thought you were a good friend because you called and said, let me know if there's anything I could do. What did Jody's her name, right?
Joni.
Your cousin?
Joni.
Joni, what did she do that was different? How did she?
She literally didn't just reach out. She reached out with a proactive approach, meaning she didn't just, oh, I'm going to do this for you. She just did this for me. And what she taught me was huge. And I did write about that, was some actual real tips, some tips like, don't just say, hey, what can I bring you for dinner? Right. Okay, A, I'm sick. And B, don't come over because I haven't showered and my house looks like, it looks like a tornado. So instead of that, you call up and you simply say, I'm bringing you dinner at 6:00. Do you have any allergies? And the answer is, no, or I'm gluten intolerant. Okay, great. And then knock on the door. There you leave it on the porch and you leave. That's it. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing to me, the proactive approach versus the let me know what you need, because I have no idea what I need until I'm in the throes of it. And then it's too late. Right. So, go pick their kids up from school. Don't ask them if they need you to. Trust me, they need you to. Go pick the kids up, Right. Don't forget the caregiver. Yeah. Take the caregiver out for a cup of coffee. He or she needs a break from you. Okay. Yeah. We patients are a handful.
Yeah, we are. We are. In case you're just joining us, I just want to let you know that this is episode 9 of the Beyond Cancer series put on by Epic Experience. Today, we are interviewing Lynda, who is the author of this book, Voices of Cancer, and she's reading a couple passages. She's going to read another one, and then we're also kind of picking her brain and finding out what she learned from interviewing all these wonderful people. So I'm curious, did you find, between men and women, did you find women were more open to sharing and men were not so much? I know you mentioned that in one sense there was no difference because they all had cancer, but did you find a difference in that sense?
I think yes. It's just, how do you put this? Women are chatty Cathys and men are fixers. So for a man to be able to be vulnerable and raw and say, my sex life is not the same, or, I cried in the shower or whatever, that is really difficult for a man. For a woman, they're all about that connection. So it was super easy for women to talk to me. But I kind of have a way of wheedling. So I could wheedle out those, first few layers of that hardcore macho thing. And when it came down to it, again, it did not matter who they were. When they would get to that raw, vulnerable, true self, what I found most interesting, I think, from the men was that they all confided in me that they kept all of this from their partner. Period. Across the board. I don't know if there was, now they might tell some, a snippet, but not the entire thing. And it was really, really interesting to get to that point with the men. With the women, I think I more expected it, but with the men, and again, that was another reason for writing about the sameness, because it did not matter what color, what race, what gender, what, it just, nothing mattered. It was the same when you could get to the root of it.
Yeah. I know I found that at camp. It didn't matter what kind of cancer. Yeah. Everybody had chemo brain. Everybody had, or had lost their hair or whatever. And this, I just thought of it. I never asked you what kind of cancer you had. I don't know if we've actually said that since so let me ask you that now.
Sure. Well, I actually say I was misdiagnosed. I never had cancer.
Oh, right.
I just whatever, I want it to be in the background. I have mantle cell lymphoma, and it is just a really crazy one that is 75% are men over 60 years of age that have it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was 49 and not a man. So
Yeah.
It was interesting. Yeah.
Wow. Back to another question about the book.
Mm-hmm.
What did you find the hardest about writing it? Not writing per se, but in terms of talking to people and what you learned and those kinds of things.
You know, the hardest part probably is knowing that several of the people that I've spoken with have already left us.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all go in this with a positive attitude, and, you know, we do the best we can, but it's very real and it's very serious. And I laugh a lot and I joke a lot. And I mean, that is just who I am. But
Right.
the hardest part is to read some of these passages and to know that those people are no longer in my life. But in that same vein, the most rewarding part is hearing from people that I never would have met before had I not, you know, taken this vulnerable step and written this book. And I had mentioned to our host earlier today that I actually probably once a week at least, I hear from a complete stranger that has watched a video, read the book, seen an article, something, and they find me online and reach out to me. And to know that it's making an effective difference. You know, I mean, I did not write this to become rich and famous. And if any of you understand the book industry, you'll know that you'll never get rich and famous unless your name is Stephen King.
Right.
I mean, it just, oh my gosh. But to make a positive effect, to to go to a camp like Epic Experience and have it absolutely change my life. I mean, I was completely broken. I did not have much left to give anyone, including myself. And when I left there, I had a dream. And I did this, it came true. And I wrote this book, and it's been published, and it's, you know, it's got the Chinese version has been purchased, and it's, you know, over in, it's around the world. I mean, and it's because of Epic Experience. And I mean, it might sound cliche, but it's true. They really did change my perspective. They gave me a reason to keep moving forward. I mean, when you're 49 and you know that you're not going to probably see grandchildren, you know, that's not easy. But that's why I say I'm misdiagnosed now, because it's like, nah, whatever. You know, I mean, I have learned to move beyond my diagnosis. I am no longer defined by mantle cell lymphoma. Even when it comes back, it's just going to be, it's going to ride next to me, no longer in front of me. And that's what I learned at Epic.
That's awesome. I'm curious, you said you hear from people. Do you hear mainly from survivors? Do you hear from family members and caregivers?
You know, I hear from probably about the same.
Really?
Yeah, right now, I call them pen pals. Because if you do write to me, I will write back. And I've got a couple right now that are in hospice, and I've not heard from the one for a little bit. I'm going to reach out and see if his wife will respond. The other one is incapable at this point, and she will be leaving us anytime. But to hear from these people, you know, and they're from all walks of life, and, you know, states and cities, and just, but we're all the same.
Yeah.
And to hear the caregivers, I had a woman come up to me and introduce herself, and I had no idea who she was. She said that she had been given this book from somebody else, and that she did not know it at the time, but she was behaving as my mother had been behaving, meaning she was so distraught she didn't know what to do. And she said, after reading this, I realized I could not do that to my daughter. And she said, I've never missed an appointment since.
Oh
So,
my gosh, that is
yeah.
that's amazing.
And, again,
Wow.
I'm not doing this for fame and fortune. I'm doing it to make an effective difference. And by gosh, if that's not an
Obviously you
effective
are.
difference, and I
That's
can't take the
amazing.
credit. I mean, if people would not have talked to me, if they would not have been open and raw, if Chris
Right.
would not have drawn all these incredible portraits, if
Right.
Epic Experience had not given me their blessing to do this, I mean,
Right.
just it truly was a huge community project. I was just the vessel that did it.
That's awesome. Well, I've asked you, so what was the hardest part and what was the most rewarding part? So I'm
Yes.
wondering what surprised you the most. Was there anything that like you didn't expect as you talked to these people and wrote their stories?
I think what surprised me was some of the, I'm going to say, not nice things that people said. I mean, not the patients, but we we on the outside, people on the outside don't know what their words mean to us.
Right.
Okay. So when you say things like, "Oh, you've got this," in the background, I say, "You're right. I do. I have cancer. Thanks." Or they say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I want to say, "For what? What did you do wrong?" Or they say, "Oh, well, keep praying, a miracle could happen." And I just say, "Thank you. That's nice. But, that's hard for me to hang on to." But some of the most shocking ones were things like, "Oh, well, you've got the easy cancer." Oh my God. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, you might have to censor that one. But yeah, I'm serious. Some of the things that people said were just shocking. And, I guess the way that I looked at that was, keep your cutesy tootsy little sayings to t-shirts. And what I need is real, honest conversation. I know I'm sick. I know I don't look good. So stop telling me, "Oh, but you're beautiful when you're bald." Okay, if I wanted to be bald, I would have shaved my head before cancer. I mean, I appreciate the attempt, but I would rather hear you say, "I see that you've lost a lot of weight, but I'll help you eat when you get better and we'll gain weight back together." I mean, something more realistic.
Yeah.
I know what I look like.
Yeah.
I mean, not right now because I've been eating and I'm fat and sassy.
Right, exactly. There was one other passage that we were going to have you read, but before you do that, if anyone has a question out there, now's your chance. Yard sale is an open book. Haha.
That should have been the name of it.
But that's true. If you have a question, go ahead and post it. Meanwhile, I'm going to have you read that last passage that we talked about.
Of course. So this is just a little blurb called Survivor's Guilt. Survivor's guilt is real, even among those with cancer. Accept this aspect of human nature and celebrate the successes in your own journey. One thing that I had to come to terms with real quick within the first 5 months of my diagnosis was losing my first friend to cancer.
Right.
And he had made such an incredible impact in my life. I'd never met him or his family prior. And we are like kind of weird besties now, the family and I. And I say weird because he had a yellow support color. Mine is a green support color. And of course, his wife doesn't have cancer. So she was just red because she was just a heart. So the mom and the daughter and I, we send notes back and forth, and we always put those 3 different colors of hearts. And, in remembrance of Ray and in recognition of me and thankfulness for them. And it's difficult to survive when your friends aren't. And it it's maybe even more difficult to thrive when your friends aren't. I was number 62 in a clinical trial of 120 patients, and thus far, I am one of the few that have not relapsed. And nearly everyone in my core group is back on chemo, and I am 12 months past the average of relapse, and I haven't felt this good in years. And it's hard for me because I want to do cartwheels and, blow bubbles, and my friends are not thriving. So it is real. And I've had to learn to remember that my friends do not want me to fail, and they don't want me to be sick.
Right.
And so they celebrate with me, and I just, jump back in the life raft with them because I have been down the same road. So, I can say I know what you're going through. But it's hard to accept that you're doing well when others are not.
Did you find that was a common theme, talking about the
100%.
It was a common thing.
It wasn't even a question. In fact, the group that I went to camp with, one of us has already passed away, and there's a couple of others that have relapsed and that are right now in chemo. And it's tough because I was the one that had the incurable. And
wow.
I lost another friend. She was diagnosed with stage 1 nearly the exact day as I was, within 2 months. And she's been gone a year and a half. Stage 1, I was stage 4, stage 1, and she's already been gone a year and a half. And so when you look at that, I mean, what does that tell you? It tells you many things, but mostly I think it says that cancer does not care who you are. It does not care what stage your doctors give you. And it does not care what numbers they say is going to happen to you, because it may not. And it also says that you just really need to live your life. You need to, if you've got cancer or had it, you need to find a way to get beyond it and make every day count. Wake up and realize it is a blessing to open your eyes. It is not something to take for granted, because you may not make it to the next morning. So I've learned so much. And if I could just pass along, it would be just to not take life for granted.
I can't add anything to that. So I think we're going to stop there. That was beautiful. If anyone has a last question, otherwise I think we're going to take Lynda's words and run with it. That is excellent. So again, this is Epic Experience. We've been talking with Lynda Wolters, who is the author of Voices of Cancer, and she compiled her own story as well as the stories of many other survivors, and wrote an excellent resource. And so we've been sharing, she's been talking with us here. This is, again, the Beyond Cancer series, and this is number 9. We do have a question. Are there any activities, outdoor events or activities that are on your bucket list?
My bucket list. Oh, dear. I kind of have a thing about a bucket list.
Oh, you do?
I do. I learned real quick in my cancer journey that you better get your bucket list done before you get cancer. Because once you get cancer, there's a real chance you're not going to be able to do that bucket list, because you're already so sick. And oftentimes people don't have an opportunity to do anything on their bucket list, because they're fighting for their life, and they're fighting for, I do this, I have this much energy, and where am I going to put it?
Right.
And, climbing Mount Everest had better have already been done, because this ain't going to cut it.
Right.
So bucket lists are hard for me.
Yeah.
That being said, I have gone rafting again since I was sick, and I've been horseback riding, and my husband and I have been dancing again.
Awesome.
And yeah. So is there anything on my bucket list outdoors wise? Really no. I truly have been fortunate. I've lived my life without regret. And even to this day, I don't know. I'm a lucky one.
That's awesome. One other question someone asked is, where can we buy this book, Lynda?
Go on Amazon, or you can buy the book at Epic Experience.
And there you go. Awesome. Any other
Experience? That's the best one.
Okay, epicexperience.org. Yes.
.org.
Yes.
O-R-G. Yes.
Any other questions for Lynda before we sign off for tonight? Lynda, thank you so much. I appreciate you writing this, and we have an intruder who's going to come in now. And
Hey, I was here earlier. I'm now making my presence known. What's your favorite thing about living in Colorado? And this question's for both of you.
Well, I just moved here. You just moved here too, Gail.
I've been here almost a year, if you can believe it. I love the weather, honestly. I love the fact that it is gorgeous and sunny, and yet there'll be this nice cool breeze. I mean, I love the fact that it can snow one day and the next day it's brilliant blue sky and it's all melted, and I love the way it changes so quickly.
I got here just literally within days before Snowmageddon, whatever it was called this year. I don't know. And then we've been stuck in our houses for some time. Right. That being said, it's a very lovely place. People are just so darn friendly. Yeah. I mean, they really are. And I'm from a very friendly place. Idaho is very friendly. But no, it's really, really a nice place. I feel like I've lived here for a very long time. Yeah. It's really nice. Yeah.
So funny story about that. Mama Lou, those of you that know Mama Lou, our founder, we used to always, and we, I mean, my brother and myself, when we moved out here, they would come out and visit. And what she would say every single time, multiple times a day is, "Oh my goodness, everyone here is just so nice." And so when you said that, I can't help but think of my mom. So yes, I've heard that once or twice.
Yeah.
True.
Well, thank you both very much for supporting Epic Experience, for being here. And Lynda, your book, just not for me, honestly, I read your book, but someone else said it earlier in the comments, hearing you read some of those was just even more powerful, to hear it truly from your voice of cancer, and what your pen to paper did. And so just thank you so much, for being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and listening to people is really what this book was about. So thank you very much for doing this. I know people really enjoyed it.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.